Good evening. Welcome to the 16th Annual MLK Oratory Competition. I am Yvette Crawford Lee, the MLK Oratory Competition Coordinator and a board member of the Austin Area Heritage Council. The pandemic and the restrictions caused by COVID-19 changed many things, including the daily lives of everyone in this country and the world. It was of great importance to the Austin Area Heritage Council to continue the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by committing to have the MLK Oratory Competition take place, and most importantly, for the students who are the future of this country. So tonight's event will be virtual. This event would not have been possible for the Austin Area Heritage Council to present tonight without the collaboration of our sponsors, Google Fiber and Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Gamma Gamma Boule. I want to personally say thank you for your generosity in allowing this event to take place tonight. Time to act with urgency, dignity, and respect is the theme for the 2021 Austin Area Heritage Council's citywide MLK celebrations. The MLK Oratory Competition is the kickoff event for the 2021 MLK celebrations. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. As people of different cultures and backgrounds are still facing the evils of racism, inequality, and unjust acts from others in this country, we must continue to move forward. We have the power to overcome the fear and to embrace the challenges in which we encounter by focusing on the possibilities and staying positive. Let's continue to carry forward Dr. King's unfinished work, because change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. Let's impact this change with dignity by honoring and respecting others, by acting now, by inspiring new generations to carry forward his unfinished work, by strengthening causes and empowering change makers who are continuing his efforts today. As you will soon witness tonight, this is a very powerful and mind-blowing competition because our children see and are aware of the actual events taking place in today's world. The children are our future, and you never know if one of these participants that we will hear tonight will be the next humanitarian or the next Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who will take on the next phase of continuing to help bring cultures and races together so we can actually live together in perfect harmony. We have a distinguished group of business and community leaders on our judges panel. First, the judges representing Google Fiber, Chris Anderson, who is a program manager for standards, research, and development, and Dominique Williams, who is a program manager, scheduling operations. And the judges representing Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity, Gamma Gamma Boule, our Reginald Ballard, dentist with the United States Public Health Service, Siku Burmese, Associate Professor of Strategy and Entrepreneurship at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and Gregory Perrin, Associate Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations at St. Edward's University. Tonight, we have 7 bright and exceptional young students competing from Blackshear Elementary Fine Arts Academy, T.A. Brown Elementary, Harrington Elementary, and Texas Preparatory School. We will hear these finalists perform what they have created in their own words, their personal conversation with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. if he were alive today. These students have spent long hours researching and studying for the oratory competition. And these young scholars are not only learning to communicate effectively with eloquence, through the arts of public speaking. They are learning more about the life of Dr. King. Our talented finalists bring alive Dr. King's words and philosophy through the original speeches, and we hope they and their words remain in the hearts and minds of all of us here tonight. The speeches and writings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. have had a profound impact on the course of our nation's history and continue to provide meaning and inspiration to us. The topic for the 2021 MLK competition is, in this country, we presently see more racial inequality and social injustice more than ever. If Dr. King were alive today, what would you discuss and share with him on how you would help to create a stronger unity for the people in America and the world? This is a question all of our students were asked to answer through writing and presenting their own original speech. Each student was judged on delivery, content interpretation, expression, and memory. Also, points were deducted from any student whose speech was longer than 5 minutes in total. The process for the annual MLK competition starts at the school level with dedicated principals and teachers, helping our students study Dr. King and encouraging them as they write their own speeches. Each student competed against other students at their school for the honor of being here this evening. Each of these students deserves recognition for the time and effort they have put forth in preparing for their speech, their research, thought, application, and courage. And now, let's begin. First up is Ruth Arulmani, 5th grader from Harrington Elementary School.
To be born as a human is not a great thing. Being a human matters a lot. Recently, our human relationship suffers many problems. Why have things hardly changed? Of course, because of racism. In your time, you helped a lot of people from racism. You're a hero, but there's still sufferings. Don't we have the power to change the course of history? If not now, when? Time is always right to do what is right. I believe that the change is possible. Last most urgent and persistent question is, what are you doing for others? Everything in the world that is done today is done by hope. The word racism sounds bad and negative. It separates the states and the people. USA stands for United States of America. States are supposed to be united, not separated. Or else it's going to be SSA, Separated States of America. Nonviolence is a word that is peaceful, not hatred. It organizes our community to become stronger, not meaner. Be accomplished by persons who are willing to sacrifice themselves in order to end other people's suffering. Darkness cannot drive darkness. Only light can do that. The beauty of nonviolence is it comes and goes in its own time, but in that time, it breaks evil's heart to make the world a much more happier place. It also comes in the mind of courageous people and seeks true friendship and understanding. It also educates, teaches, and transforms people. Tensions in the city is not between the battle between people from different race, but it's between justice and forces of darkness. And if there's a victory, this will not only be a victory for thousands of people, but also be a victory for justice and the forces of light. At the center of nonviolence is the principle of love. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands during comfort, but where he stands during controversy. Let's pledge that every child of America will not be measured by the color of their skin, but by the conduct of their activities. Why do we have a collective responsibility to stand up and pursue freedom and equality among ourselves? I wish the pillars that we stood for. We all call all fly under the banner of love, mercy, peace, and forgiveness. Our focus should be emphasizing upon the people, especially the minorities, the peace and religious freedom. No one is inferior. I would like your legendary and a forefront of your dream that echoes through our classrooms, streets, and marches throughout freedom and equality. In Wisconsin, a man was shot 7 times in the back by a police officer while his kids were in the car. On hearing this, the Milwaukee Bucks, the NBA team, postponed 3 days to playoff action. Our effort in strengthening the unity is like making every mountain to low, the rough ones to straight, and the crooked ones to plains, that the glory of the Lord shall be revealed. This is my hope, this promised land of America. Our nation is a beautiful place to live in, and I highly condemn racism which ruins it. Why does culture have to come to this mess? Culture shapes one's behavior. As an optimist, we should not only have courage to face risk and bad outcomes, but also lead into the path of light. With these measures, our nation will be much better than now. I adore you for listening to me. Thank you.
Next is Eliana Chua, fourth grader from Harrington Elementary School.
57 years ago, in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in his famous speech, "I Have a Dream," said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Fast forward to today. We continue to see Black men frequently killed because they're perceived as threats, white cops being attacked, and children being separated from their immigrant parents. But why are we allowing all of this to happen? Aren't we supposed to love one another? Is it because we come from different races and have different skin colors? But don't we bask in the same sun, look at the same moon, breathe the same air? That's why, if Dr. King Jr. was here with us today, I would tell him this. Dr. King, 57 years ago, you said you had a dream. And I'm your girl, am standing right in front of you because my parents had a dream too. That was to come to the United States of America to fulfill their American dream. But it wasn't easy. They received mocking stares. They were laughed at because of how they talked and pronounced words. They were ignored and told to just go back to their country. But instead of hating people, they continued to work hard and love others around them, regardless of race, color, and whether they're rich or poor. Because just like what you said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And they did. Then they were loved and accepted, just like how I am accepted by my teachers, classmates, and neighbors. So I know it can be done, but does that mean I should just enjoy life and ignore the sufferings of the people around the world? Isn't it that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Dr. King, please allow me to share with you the things I'll do to keep your principles burning in our hearts. I will warmly welcome, smile, and listen to each and every child in my class, regardless of race and whether they're rich or poor. I will ask for help in the church and school so that to encourage other children to do this as well. I will send out letters to people not only in my community, but to people all over the world, letting them know that they are valued, loved, and connected, even if we're physically apart, especially during the pandemic. I will ask for help from teachers and people in church to encourage other children to do this as well. I will support cultural events in the school and community so we can celebrate diversity. I strongly believe it can be done. Remember, we don't have to be colorblind. Instead, we have to see the beauty in different colors. We have to celebrate diversity and embrace the uniqueness of each individual. I will reach out to government officials and charitable organizations so every community, rich or poor, will have access to a clean water supply. I will encourage paying it forward when an act of kindness gets passed on continuously. I will promote growing own gardens so every person will have a source for fresh and healthy fruits and vegetables. I believe it can be done. And there's no better time to start but today, right at this very moment. We should not let another second pass by. For as you said, the time is always right to do what is right. Thank you so much, Dr. King, for your legacy. Thank you for all your words of wisdom. Thank you for your love of mankind. Thank you for letting me know that if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. Thank you.
Next is Octavia Henderson, sixth grader from Texas Preparatory School.
These days, we have riots and shootings due to inequality and social injustice. The voices of African Americans are not being heard. Many people start peaceful protests, but there is always a few people who disagree. This can sometimes cause riots. Our focus should be to have our voices heard with a positive message. Our leaders, who are positive role models, should speak with peaceful messages. Even if others are upset with our messages, do not focus on it and stay peaceful. This would help stop riots. Our community is mistreated, but with peaceful protests, our voices will prevail and there will be equality for all people. We are all the same. We are all brothers and sisters. We will end social injustice in the world.
Next is Journey Johns Ross, fourth grader from Texas Preparatory School.
Dr. King was right when he said 1963 was not the end but the beginning. I spent a lot of time reflecting on this line and see how we can make our country more equal. The one thing I kept thinking about was a kid's right to education. But does that mean a right to education? Does that mean all kids get the same equality? I don't think so. My teacher and I talked about this while reading. Dr. King, I Have a Dream speech, one line stood out to me. We are all veterans of creative suffering. I wasn't sure what Dr. King meant by that at first, but after a long discussion, I learned there are many things we can do to get rid of creative suffering. So I want to tell Dr. King that I'm a kid, but I know all schools are treated equally. I want to tell Dr. King that I am a kid, but I know kids are too hungry to learn. I want to tell Dr. King that I am a kid, but I know many kids don't think about college because they can't afford to go. I want to tell Dr. King that all of this creative suffering has been made worse by coronavirus. But most of all, I don't want Dr. King to have ideas. I want to tell Dr. King that I have ideas to help fix these problems and make our country better. I want to make our country more equal. We need to start with education. What I learned is equality doesn't mean everyone gets the same thing. Equality means everyone gets what they need to succeed. For example, it's hard to be hungry for knowledge when you're hungry for food. So I would tell Dr. King, since we spend the majority of our day at school, why not provide food for all the hungry children? Thinking about schools more equal made me think about how many things coronavirus has made worse, like distance learning. How many students can afford a computer or internet? So I would tell Dr. King that the government should give money to schools so they can pay for computers and internet for their students. This way, students can learn regardless of how much money their family has. Thinking about schools makes me think about my future and going to college. Makes me wonder if inequality in schools makes learning more difficult. Wouldn't it also make it difficult to go to college? And what about paying for college? What if you don't have enough money or anyone to help you get a scholarship? This means students don't get to go to college or is punished with debt. So I would tell Dr. King, if we want more equality, then all people need to have the same opportunity to a college degree. This means the government should pay for college just like it pays for any other level of education. But we shouldn't just stop at making college free because inequality still exists. It's important that colleges continue to reach out and offer people of color, especially those with disadvantaged backgrounds, accepted into college. I would tell Dr. King it is hard to plan for your future when you're trying to survive in the moment. So I would tell those with power, such as colleges, need to reach out to others. Raising each other up is how we achieve equality. Just like Dr. King had an idea for children in the 60s, I have a dream for the children for my generation too. My dream is that all children have a fair start at life. So I would tell Dr. King, if we want more inequality in our country, we need to start by making education more equal. Making sure schools and colleges can provide what students need to succeed will lift our communities up and break down the problems minority communities face. Thank you.
Next is Ayana Olson, fifth grader from Blackshear Elementary Fine Arts Academy.
If I could speak to Dr. Martin Luther King, I would thank him for fighting for equal rights. The world would be very different if Dr. King had not fought for equal rights. I would love to hear him speak about his life in his own words. I would ask him how we can be happy and get along. I would also ask him how I can help fight for justice as a young person. I know people of different races can get along because I have friends and family of many different races. The world would be very different and boring if everyone is the same. We should not judge someone by the way they look, but by their personality. It would help if you're not mean or hurt them. We should work towards unity. Everyone needs to give people of different races a chance and talk to them, and then they will see the good in each other. I think it would be helpful if people are raised and live in diverse communities. People should learn about the diverse cultures around them. You should learn from your differences, even if it puts you out of your comfort zone. In Dr. King's words, we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. What we say and do is very important. Hateful words and mean jokes are not funny. We should speak up even if we're not the ones that are being made fun of. We all can help make these problems better. I can help by standing up for people that I see being mistreated because of their race. I will do this because I know no one should be mistreated because of their race. We are all one humanity. To Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we thank you, we honor you, we respect you, and we will never, ever forget you. And remember, as Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. The fight for equal rights continues today. Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Next is Aiden Ramirez, fourth grader from T.A. Brown Elementary.
If I was next to Martin Luther King Jr., I would tell him it's not right for people to be racist in our world. I would also say if you did not make your speech, white people and colored people would not get along so well. I would spread his speech to the people in my community. Your life is in our heart for what you did to change the world. If I would have made a speech, I would say that you inspired me to make this speech. I would discuss with MLK Jr. that people in the world are still racist, so I will make the world better by treating people with kindness. I will tell him that the cops are arresting colored people just because of their race. Martin Luther King Jr. made a march for the people to get united, so we need to start being kind to everybody no matter their race. People of color need more justice so that they can be noticed more in our world. I would also discuss with him that the news is spreading for what happened to innocent people just because of the color of their skin. The reason I care about people of color is because back then people of color were treated differently, but on the other hand, the white people always got treated with love and kindness. This is wrong because everyone has value no matter their skin color is. People still want to fight against racism because of all the protests. One day, I would love to make a speech just like you and change the world into a better place.
And tonight's last but not least competitor is Diego Robbins, fourth grader from T.A. Brown Elementary School.
If Martin Luther King Jr. were alive right now, I would discuss with him how we need to stop violence in our country. Violence makes the country bad. We will make it better. People should stop using weapons. People have been scared because of COVID-19, but they're also scared because of the violence. We want the people to go out and be free. We need to fight for justice over violence. We should protest. I think that we should also make a speech like your I Have a Dream speech, but make it about stopping violence. We would have a great country if we united and lived in peace. Unfortunately, even the police are violent, especially toward Black people. I think that the police have been unfair to the Black community. Then the American people have been protesting, and I'm happy about that because when they are protesting, they're taking a stand against violence. I think it is unfair that the police are using more violence to Black people than to the other people. We should make a new movement that is against violence, but when we do it, we will be doing peaceful protesting. That's all.
Thank you for all your amazing and inspiring speeches. Since this is a pre-recorded program, the judges have already made the difficult decision of which of these talented 7 finalists will be honored with first, second, and third place in the 2021 MLK Oratory competition. Before we hear the results from our judges, I would like to personally thank some very special people. The parents of our 7 finalists for the recognition they deserve, as well as the leadership of Austin Independent School District, Round Rock Independent School District, and Texas Preparatory Schools for their commitment in honoring Dr. King through supporting this event. The recorded speech of the first place winner of tonight's competition will be replayed at the MLK Youth Scholarship Awards live stream program on January the 16th, 2021 at 3 p.m. and also at the Austin area MLK Day live stream and in Car Valley, which begins on Monday, January the 18th, 2021 at 10:30 a.m. Now, shall we hear the judges' results? We consider each student who participated to be a winner. None of the participants will leave empty-handed. A token of appreciation of $50 will be given to the individuals who did not place in this competition. This is our way of thanking you for participating in this event. The first place winner receives a $500 cash award. The second place winner receives a $250 cash award. The third place winner receives a $150 cash award. Okay, here we go. Third place goes to Ruth Arlumani, 5th grader from Harrington Elementary School. Second place goes to Ayana Olson, 5th grader from Blackshear Elementary Fine Arts Academy. And first place goes to Eliana Chua, 4th grader from Harrington Elementary School. Congratulations, Eliana. We were inspired and impressed by your words. May you continue to carry forward the unfinished work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In closing, thank you so much to the students, parents, teachers, and administrators who made this virtual event possible. Thank you also to those who continue to teach Dr. King's poignant and important message to our children. It is more important now than ever before in our history. We hope to see you all in person next year when we continue to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the 17th annual MLK Oratory Competition. Have a great evening and congratulations again to our winners.